Hello everyone, I am Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English channel. In our today's video, we'll find the exact legal status of right to vote. Is it a fundamental right? Is it a constitutional right? Or is right to vote just a mere statutory right? Do not worry, we'll find out in our today's video. And the notes which I'll be using to give you this video, if you want to download them, they will be available after the end of the video in this particular Telegram channel. So to go to this Telegram channel, open your Telegram app in the mobile phones. On the top right hand corner, there must be a search bar. Click on it and write ATS live. You'll find the channel. But if you still have problems in locating it, this is the QR code you can scan. Subscribe to the channel if you still haven't, and you can download the notes. Let us understand why are we discussing the legal status of right to vote. First of all, you need to understand that the decision of Election Commission of India to conduct a special intensive revision of the electoral rules in Bihar is a matter which has been heard in the Supreme Court. So this has brought in an attention to what is the exact legal status of right to vote in India. And in 2017, even the UPSC asked the same question in the prelims examination. So we'll understand this issue in great detail in our today's video. Now, before understanding the legal status of right to vote, you need to understand the differences in different types of rights that are available in India. First comes natural right. Now, natural right comes to any human being just by the virtue that they are born as a living being. So these are available to humans as well as animals. But the problem with natural right is that they aren't codified anywhere. Therefore, they won't be able to be enforceable. So the examples of natural rights are right to life, liberty, privacy, etc. But the problem is, as I've already told you, these are not codified anywhere. Therefore, these are not enforceable in a court of law. Now, in India, in reality, the fundamental law of the land, that is the Constitution of India, mentioned certain rights in its part 3. Therefore, as these are mentioned in the Constitution of India, these are called as fundamental rights because Constitution is fundamental law of the land. And the beauty aspect about the fundamental rights is that in case if you are there is violation of fundamental rights in India, you can directly approach Supreme Court under the Article 32. So this is why the legal status of fundamental right in India is at the top, because these are directly enforced by the Constitution and by the Supreme Court of India. For example, the fundamental rights of right to equality are mentioned in Article 14. Right to freedom of speech and expression is mentioned in Article 19, whereas right to life are mentioned in Article 21. These are some of the codified versions of natural rights, but the fundamental rights enable you to get it enforced directly by the Supreme Court of India. And why is it fundamental? Because these are mentioned in the fundamental law of the land, Constitution. So we understood fundamental rights is at the topmost hierarchy of rights in India. This is followed by constitutional right. Constitutional right are all those rights mentioned in the Constitution except in part 3rd. So every right except fundamental right are a constitutional right which is provided in the Constitution. For example, right to property mentioned in Article 300A. Right now it is called as a constitutional right. Earlier it was a fundamental right, but this was changed to fundamental or a constitutional right by 44th Amendment Act. Similarly, freedom to conduct trade in India is a constitutional right, not a fundamental right, because it is mentioned in Article 301. So in terms of hierarchy, we understood fundamental right is at the top, followed by constitutional right. And at the bottommost comes statutory right, also called as legal right. These are rights which are provided to people based on a law passed in Indian Parliament or by a state legislature. So for example, the right to education, right to information, right to obtain food under National Food Security Act, right to get employment under Manrega, all of these are examples of what? These are examples of legal right or statutory right. Why statutory right? Because these are provided to you by a statute passed in Indian Parliament. So once again, in terms of hierarchy of rights, natural law is outside because it is not codified, not enforceable. But in terms of hierarchy of rights, fundamental right is at the top, followed by constitutional right, and at the bottom is the legal right or statutory right. Understood the concept? Now let us understand the exact legal status of right to vote. Now if you read Article 326 of the Indian Constitution, this article says that any Indian citizen who is over and above 18 years of age, they can vote in India provided they are not disqualified by a law passed by Indian Parliament. So this Article 326 prima facie would appear to you that it makes right to vote a constitutional right, but it is incorrect, because this acts as an enabling clause. Why am I saying it acts as an enabling clause? Because it says you need to be 18 years of age, an Indian citizen, but you will be able to give vote only if you are not disqualified by any law of the parliament. So therefore the exact legal status of right to vote is not constitutional right, but a statutory right. Similarly, there were certain changes made based on this right to vote in India. Earlier, people over and above 21 years of age, only they could have given vote, but this was reduced to 18 years of age by 61st Constitutional Amendment Act of 1988. Therefore, from this slide, what did we understand? We understood that right to vote in India is not absolute. You can't say that I'm an Indian citizen over and above 18 years of age. This automatically doesn't guarantee in India that you can vote. You can vote provided you are not legally disqualified, you are living in India, you are subjected to citizenship, age criteria, etc. So this right in India, it is qualified only by a law or a statute passed by Indian Parliament, and this statute is Right Representation of People Act 1950. Section 62 of this act says that only those people who are listed in electoral roll in India, only those person can vote. So if your name is not there in the electoral roll, do you think you'll be able to vote? No. So therefore this qualifies certain people who are there in electoral roll, only these persons can vote. Similarly, people who are lost in prison for some crime they have committed, they won't be able to vote. Similarly, people who are disqualified by law because of certain reasons, also these people won't be able to give vote. Section 16 also says that no citizens or non-citizens of India can't give vote, obviously, and Section 19 says that you must be 18 years and above and an ordinarily resident in India in a particular constituency, then only you can give vote. So suppose you are an Indian citizen over and above 18 years of age, but for the last 5 or 10 years you are living in US. Do you think you will be able to vote? No, because your name must have been eliminated from electoral roll because you are not a resident in India. So this is why not every Indian citizen over and above 18 years of age can give vote. Therefore, this is a legal right. Legal right, why? Because this is regulated by a particular law of the Indian Parliament. Understand? Now let us try to understand what does India's judiciary feel about this particular right. Now, the first instance when a dispute regarding what is the exact legal status of right to vote in India, it reached Supreme Court in the N.P. Ponnuswamy versus Returning Officer case of 1952. And in this judgment, the Supreme Court highlighted that this right or right to vote is a statutory right, not a constitutional right or not a fundamental right. Why? Because voting in India is regulated by Representation of People Act 1950. Understood? So as this act of voting is regulated by an act of parliament, therefore it is a statutory right. Similarly, in 1982, in Jyoti Basu versus Debi Ghoshal case, Supreme Court reaffirmed its decision saying that it is only a statutory right. But something changed in 2003 when Supreme Court was considering PUCL versus Union of India case. In this judgment, a particular judge, Justice P.V. Reddy, highlighted that right to vote is a constitutional right. So does it make right to vote a constitutional right? Let us find out. Please remember, this was a judgment given in 2003. Now, the most important judgment when we have to understand the legal status of right to vote is the Kuldeep Nair case versus Union of India, which was heard in 2006. And why I told you this is the most important case for right to vote in India, is it because it was the judgment given by constitutional bench, and from constitution we understand a constitutional bench is a bench which comprises of 5 or more judges, right? So when such a constitutional bench is giving a decision, it effectively overrides any decision given by a Supreme Court judgment passed by a smaller bench of judges, right? So for example, let us suppose there was a decision given by 2 judges bench and another decision given by a 5 judges bench. So if these are contrary decisions of Supreme Court, which of the decision would prevail? Obviously this decision would prevail. Why? Because this decision was given by a bench of larger judges. Understand? So therefore I told you, in Constitution of India things, if any judgment is given by a constitutional bench, it has an overriding effect of a judgment given by a smaller bench. So this judgment which said that right to vote is a statutory right, therefore in 2006 the legal status of right to vote according to Supreme Court of India was that it is a statutory right. But in 2015, in Rajbala versus State of Haryana case, Supreme Court made another judgment. A division bench, which is a bench comprising of 2 judges, this bench highlighted that right to voting in India is a constitutional right, and it took its inspiration from the PUCL judgment. But does it make 2015 judgment the correct judgment? The answer is no. Why? Because 2006 judgment was given by a constitutional bench. So this judgment has an overriding impact on the divisional bench judgment, which said that it is a constitutional right. So even in 2015, the exact legal status of right to vote is statutory right. Now there was a surprising thing that happened 2 years afterwards. In 2017, this question appeared in UPSC prelims, and in its official key, UPSC said that right to vote in India is a constitutional right. I am assuming that the UPSC paper setters, they might be basing this answer on the judgment given by Rajbala versus State of Haryana judgment, which we have already covered, and I hope UPSC did a thorough background research. So even in 2017, even though UPSC gave this answer that it is a constitutional right, but according to me, this is an incorrect answer. Why? Because I told you, in 2015, this was a judgment given only by a division bench which comprised of 2 judges. Therefore, it can't override a judgment given by a constitutional bench because it was a judgment given by 5 or more judges. Therefore, it is a statutory right. Now, the recent judgment regarding legal status of right to vote was a judgment given in 2023, that is Anup Bandwal versus Union of India case. Here also, the Supreme Court's majority opinion reaffirmed the status of Kuldeep Nair judgment, saying that right to vote is only a statutory right. But there was a dissent given in this judgment by Justice Ajay Rastogi. He said that right to vote is a medium of freedom of speech and expression and a medium of right to choose. Therefore, it is also a part of Article 19. But this was just a dissent. Therefore, the correct status even in 2023 is that it is a statutory right. Understood? Now let us understand, before ending this today's video, what are key features of right to vote in India. First of all, I told you eligibility of who can vote in India, who can't vote in India. It is determined by Article 326, and it says that anyone over and above age of 18, provided that they are not disqualified by law, they can give votes in India. Therefore, right of vote in India is a statutory right because it is created and regulated by law. And Article 326, I've already discussed, this is merely an enabling clause, but it is regulated by a statute, therefore a statutory right. We vote in India through a secret ballot, which we give through EVMs or electronic voting machines. Is right to vote in India a compulsory or a mandatory right? The answer is no. It is a voluntary right. You can exercise it, you can't exercise it. It is your decision. Similarly, we are also provided a nota option. We can select none of the above options because Supreme Court in PUCL versus Union of India case 2013 said so. Similarly, do you think you can live in a jail or you can be locked up in a jail and still give votes in India? The answer is no, because prisoners are disqualified under Representation of People Act 1950. Therefore, right to vote isn't available to people who are locked up in jails. Please remember, you can contest elections from the jail, but you can't give vote while remaining in the jail, right? So this is the entire summary of right to vote in India. Once again, this is a statutory right. Why statutory? Because it is regulated by a law passed by Indian Parliament, that is Representation of People Act 1950. Now, I also have a practice question which we can solve, but first let me tell you something. Today is 25th July and we are starting a P2I 2026 batches from today itself. So please, students who are looking to give exams next year, you only have 10 months amount of time. Do not waste your time. Take right guidance, right content from our resolution batches, and we also are providing batches for 27 and 28. You can get admissions to one of these batches at a discounted rate by getting discounts as much as of 7,000 rupees by using the code ATS Live, which is applicable not on on just this, but on all the courses of StudyIQ. So please take admissions. Do not forget to use this code ATS Live, and there's also a number which you can use to get all your queries resolved. This number is 9240231070. You can call us and let us know your concerns. We'll be happy to address it. But please do not forget to also tell them before making the payment, use this code, because this gets you a lot of discount. Now, this is a practice question that I want you to solve. I've tweaked the UPSC question a little bit. In present circumstances, right to vote in India is which kind of a right? Do let me know the correct answers in the comment section so that I know you've understood this discussion. And the ones who answer it correctly, I'll give your comments a thumbs up so that you know you have answered it right. And once again, if you want to download the notes, these will be available on this particular Telegram channel, ATS Live. You can scan the QR code also and download the notes. Please, so this is all from my side for today. We'll have another discussion tomorrow. Please have a very good night.